Right into the program now, and we focus on gangsterism in this hour. Vanessa?
Yes, indeed, Peter. We focus on gangsterism more so as we continue to celebrate Youth Month, and we continue really to highlight some important issues affecting the young people here in South Africa. So, as you may know, that several communities around the country have been plagued by gangsterism, of course, and you can mention a few cases. Lavender Hill in the Western Cape is one such case, but we also have Westbury here in Johannesburg. So, let me just welcome my guests this afternoon here in studio, who will help us understand really what gangsterism is. With me now in studio is Shahim Ismail and Pons Peterson. They are both community leaders from Westbury here in Johannesburg. Good afternoon to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us here on SA Today as we continue to observe Youth Month.
Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to all the viewers out there.
Good afternoon to the viewers, and good afternoon to you too.
Firstly, really, thank you so much for coming through. Just make us understand what gangsterism is. I'm going to start with you, Shahid. To your knowledge and your understanding, your observation, your experience, what is gangsterism?
Thank you very much. Gangsterism, I grew up in Westbury. I'm born in Westbury. I've been there for many years. Tomorrow I'll be there for, I'll tell it now, it's a secret, but it's open up. Tomorrow I'll be in Westbury for 54 years.
For 54?
So I hope everybody's going to celebrate my 54 years in Westbury.
Happy birthday in advance.
Gangsterism, as we grew up, was a form of survival. Remember, many years there wasn't a lot of opportunities. We were clustered in different racial groups, and the so-called colored people could have only study and do that and X, Y, and Z, and the Indian people, and we all were all in different classifications under the old race apartheid government, the race card. And many years gangsterism has been seen as a form of survival, where people will go out, they will spin and go out in communities or go do whatever they do and come back and feed their families. There's something to keep the families alive and put bread on the table. But as the years went on, it became turf wars, where you'll find within the communities. Now, after the when we were taken from Sophia Town to Western Native Township, that is where different gang groups within the communities now started to rise and were formulated to say, this turf belongs to us, that section is your section. So it became turf war. And those years, many years ago, when we were still young, it was pangas and golf sticks and hockey sticks and whatever they could have gotten to fight with. And as it went on into the new transformation in life, it became a very hardcore type of a fighting for survival in terms of using firearms and killing people in broad daylight and that. So it's a very crucial thing firstly to belong to a gang. Yeah. It's a very risky thing. Your life is 24 hours at risk. Your family is at risk.
Everyone else around
everybody,
you
the whole community is at risk, because when it starts, everybody is to duck and cover run for cover and run for their lives.
Yeah. But have you ever been part of gangsterism yourself?
No, I haven't been part of any gangs. I grew up in Westbury. I was all my life I've been involved in sports. Community development. I was a councillor for Westbury.
How did you escape that, as you say that almost everyone living in that area was part of a certain gang?
It's not really everyone. I can tell you it's a few.
It's just a few.
Yeah, sometimes you'll find it comes from families. It's what they say, not a curse, it's a generational thing that runs in the families. Where many years ago my father was killed and I grew up, I'm the big shot today, or my cousin or my uncle or that was killed, and we grew up fatherless, or and that, in many instances, it comes from the same type of families. But I can say how I have escaped it and what is happening in Westbury. Westbury has brought the best of South Africa in terms of sports. We've got a Stephen Pienaar from there, Mark Plaatjes that went on from Westbury to win a world marathon championship. We've got great boxers coming from there, doctors currently now, the acting CEO of Helen Joseph and Rahima Musa Hospital, Dr. Fru Benson. Yeah. There's a lot of great academics that come from there.
So in the midst of that gangsterism cloud, there's some positivity that comes in that area. Yeah. I just want to come to you quickly, Pons. For someone who's never been, I mean, he's just given us a picture of what happens in Westbury. But for someone like me who's never been to the place, what elements of gangsterism does one come across the moment you get into that area? Is it possible for one to observe and see gangsterism in the area?
Not really, unless there's gang fights. Some of these gangs operate underground. Some of them, you know, they've got, like Shaim said, they've got their own territories. So it's not obviously only mostly just fights. Now, as you've seen on TV, they have this drive-by shootings and then you don't know who it was. And it's not just only in Westbury. It happened in Cape Town where you have this drive-by, and then you also don't know who it is. The idea of this gangsterism is also fueled by, you know, just some type of like a mafia. There's always one person always behind it in most cases, not always, but in most cases there's one person driving the whole gangsterism business from a point of view, and it always boils down to money. You know, like if I need money and I can get a quick buck and I'm not working to shoot somebody or to steal somebody or to go and stab somebody or to go and steal from somebody to get that quick fast buck to put food on the table, why not? And especially if you know you're going to be protected by the head.
As a woman, what is it like living in that area? Because the reality is we only get to see what the media reports on, but we don't know what the daily activities are in that area. We don't know what a normal day looks like in Westbury or Newlands or any other areas. But talk to us about what a normal day in Westbury looks like.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to give you a normal day in Westbury because I'm not living there in Westbury as a full-time resident of Westbury, but...
Or maybe I should give it to
Yes,
Saeed,
to
then you
Saeed,
can be
yes.
able to tell us more.
Normal and not normal at all, because continuously it's in the back of our minds of every person that lives. Even the children, you can see in the manner how they play in the streets. They'll choose how to play, and you know. And once the sun set in Westbury, it becomes like a graveyard. Everybody's quiet. You can hear a spell drops in the streets, and you'll see the trend of life has changed. Even in the mornings, you'll even find the shops do not open up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning when people go to work. They'll open up 8 o'clock. It's a change of life. It's not how we used to grow up, where we were free. We could have played in the streets and all. Because today it's guns. When that gunfire, you don't know where does that bullets go to. You don't know where they're shooting from. And when people shoot in front of a school or they shoot people in the streets, everybody is to duck. And life has changed. There is no normal life, normal day life.
Life is not normal at all.
It's not normal at all.
Yeah.
It will remain abnormal until we find the solution to that. And we try to bring it back to normality, which is very difficult. It's a lot of counseling, a lot of hard work, a lot of interaction. Government needs to commit itself 100% in saying this is the year. This new administration is really going to give it all to say let us rid and stop this killings in our communities.
Yeah. But how has the situation there affected the young people? It's Youth Month today. We're talking about the young people. How has it affected them and perhaps their prosperity?
Very bad, very bad. The future is very dark because many of them they're not focused in school. We will see now this year's results as well. We will not see the same results every year from our matriculants within those few senior secondary schools. You can see at primary level as well. You'll see there's a lot of school dropouts within our streets. And you know, from a young tender age, youngsters are dropping out of school. They become so despondent and feel they want to join gangs and go do their own things. So I can say the young people are very despondent because of the high rate of unemployment, of the situation of shootings and killings in a community. They are not free. They're not growing up as youngsters that can get on a bicycle and just drive through the streets, form a cycling club or play soccer in the streets or play cricket or whatever on the fields. Many times even shot on the sports fields where these youngsters would go to. But every time, wherever the youngsters are, you'll find parents and people monitoring and watching them to say, you know.
Because there's always that sense of fear that anything
it's
can go
always there,
bad.
the fear of saying that we can just move around freely. Though we have police deployed in that community, people, the fear is still within our communities.
I wanted to talk to that as to how the situation has changed since the deployment of that special unit by Police Minister Bekicele last year. So you're saying that nothing has changed?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there was a fear factor and the feelings of the entire community. Last year, October, the national minister came to Westbury. He came in there and he launched the TRTs and he launched the anti-gang units and all the drug units and had to work within the community. A lot of things has been done We've also mentioned a lot of things from the community side, and we raised a lot of concerns and issues regarding the police station. We wanted to see a lot of change within the police station. One of which was that the station commander should be immediately redeployed from that police station. And we also asked for change throughout the whole structure. So change has come, slowly but surely. A lot of change has taken place within the police station. We have seen a lot of arrests taking place.
I wanted to talk about
We've seen a lot of arrests been taking place in terms of gang violence. We've seen a great number of convictions coming through from those killings and gang violence within our community. So change is there. And yesterday we had a meeting with the provincial commissioner and his entire team. And I think we were given a lot of positive as we were shown the stats for 2018, 2019, a preview of what the stats look like currently. And we said together we can really uplift it as a community. It's a partnership. And yes, since the minister has been there, I'm not a member of government. I don't work for government. I don't support what the ministers are. I don't work in any of the offices. So I'm not speaking on behalf of government. But we need to speak what happens on the ground in terms of reality.
Yeah.
Since the happenings at court 2 weeks ago, the fight that broke out at the Westgate court, immediately on that day, we have received a great up in terms of deployment. And it's still there. And we have been guaranteed that we will have a massive deployment continuously within that community until we come up with solid solutions together, jointly to find the way out, how to really move forward within that communities. We need to be an example to the Greater Cape Town, the Eastern Cape, the Western Cape, because when the minister was there, we made a commitment with the community and the minister and the policing that we need to model Westbury. So once that model works, we can then take it anywhere else in South Africa. So the model is in progress. The baby has been born since the minister has been launched. The model is in progress. We can see the difference. We need to deal with the fear factor. We need to deal with stability. We need to make sure that gangsterism doesn't rise anymore in our community.
And who is responsible for ensuring that it doesn't? Because gangsters, they live within our communities. They live with us. We know them, and we don't report things that they do.
The community, this where the civic organizations will come in. The community as a whole, we need to all club together and stick together, not just the police, but also all the civic organizations. That's where I come in. I'm here representing our civic organization for the province. We need all government spheres to pull together, like health, social development, sports, because it's senseless us just having the police coming in there and doing their job, but then there's nothing that you take away the drugs. What do you do?
Yeah.
And the drugs and the gangsterism does not just only stem from drugs related abuse. It also stems from like this gambling. Gambling, it starts at the school level where children start playing ties, they play cards, they play whatever. That's where they start fight. All these fights start, and that's where the rivalry starts, because now they gang up against each other. So we need to bring in the education system. We need to start educating our children from as young as preschool age, like about gangsterism, about drugs, about smoking, about alcohol abuse, because alcohol and these cigarettes and now dacha, marijuana that has now been legalized, those are the
elements that are contributing to what's this big problem that we are facing
here. But we cannot expect the police to tackle this whole gangsterism and drug
on their own.
On their own. We all need to come in as a community. You too, you must also do your part. We need the media, we need sports, we need all of those to work together.
If I can just come in quickly, we've started an organization, a movement to join everybody together nationally, from Westbury right through South Africa, with Senko and all partners within our community, and our biggest partner is government. We also want to partner with private sector, which they are mainly affected by businesses and that being robbed and hijackings and that. So we've called it hashtag anti-gangsterism and drugs. So
how has the response been thus far?
Very great, awesome. We've got responses from Western Cape, from PE, from East London, from Kimberley, from many other communities that are affected with the same, but it's not a racial. Gangsterism is not a color thing. It's in other communities, but it's not being highlighted as it's been highlighted in these former colored communities. So it's got nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
It's in Soweto. You'll find it in Soweto. You'll find it in Township. You'll find it in Langa and Guguletu. You'll find it in Lenasia. You'll find it in Chatsworth. So gangsterism doesn't have a color. So we are lobbying every South African to lobby with us that we are going to fight like we fought against the apartheid government. We must overcome this dragon. We need to stop this gangsterism, the killings in our streets. Together we can do it. You asked the question, who must make sure? Government must come in. What we are going to put forth on this organization, we will be doing submissions to national government in terms of certain laws needs to be changed. That doesn't fit the shoe. We are looking at the amnesty for firearms. Our communities are flooded with firearms. We are going to put to national government in terms of, we are looking at, can we have every 4 months a firearm amnesty? Why do we have it once a year? We need every 4 months a firearm amnesty so that those illegal firearms can be handed in. But we also need to make clear that firearms must be controlled properly. Police firearms, metro fire, whoever's an authority that carries a firearm, there must be a great monitoring over those firearms as well. Because many of those firearms gets lost, it gets stolen, and it also ends up in our communities. So in housebreakings and thefts, and we also need to have a proper monitoring system of these firearms when they have been taken away. We are saying also that drug dealing, the schedule offense of drug dealing in South Africa needs to be revisited. We need to look at a Schedule 6. We cannot have drug dealing as a normal offense. Schedule 6 because you are killing people, you are killing a family.
So you need a firmer sentence there.
Well, not a firmer sentence, a proper legislation around that will deal with the sentence in court. But the sentence automatically will rise into murder. It can be accomplice to murder. But what we are saying as well from this organization we have established, non-political, it's about communities, let us stop drugs and gangsterism.
Yeah. But from what I'm picking from both of you is there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There's hope.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you speak to the media previously last year. You were not hopeful, you were disgruntled and not happy. But from what you're telling us now, it looks like finally we are on the right direction.
Yes, I believe so. I'm sitting here for 30 years now in my community fighting gangsterism and drugs. I'm outspoken around it. I'm not scared. I'm not fearful for anything. And I think we need a lot of people that can join us. We do not need to be scared of our own people. We will find means and ways through mediation, through this organization, to get those that are being called gangsters and all, get them together and start speaking to them. What is the problem? What's causing us to kill one another like this? Let us find amicable solutions in terms of, because in many instances, there's no answers to why the killings are there. But what I just want to say quickly is that government also needs to come and revisit all the structures that are non-functional, like your school governing bodies. You cannot have a school governing body where one chairperson is one person is a chairperson of 4 different governing school governing bodies. You cannot have a chairperson and a councillor is chairing a school governing body that is sitting in local government. But what I'm saying is, there's the CPFs. They need to be restructured. If these structures doesn't work in a community, let us.
Is it not working? You're going to be in conversation with the CPF after the ad break. Are you not happy with what they deliver?
We are not happy in terms of how they're functioning. They are dysfunctional.
Okay.
Though they will say they are there, they've been elected democratically.
We'll let them respond to that. I'm afraid we've run out of time. Yes. Thank you so much for coming through. Shahim Ismail and Ponce Peterson from Sanko. Shahim is a community leader from Westbury. We really appreciate your time. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, the CPF are under the spotlight. What Shahim says is they are dysfunctional. They'll respond to those allegations. Stay with us.